Hey Reddit, throwaway account here because some of my real friends are on my main, and I'm not ready to talk to them about this yet. I 35M have been married to my wife Sophie 33F for 7 years. We've known each other since college, got married in our late 20s, and for the most part, things have been fine. Not perfect, but nothing that would scream disaster, or so I thought. We don't have kids yet, we'd been trying, but I noticed Sophie wasn't that invested in it anymore. She used to talk about baby names and Pinterest nurseries all the time, but then she just stopped. I chalked it up to stress. She started working with a new startup last year and was always too tired or not in the mood. Again, I didn't think too much of it. I travel a lot for work, usually 3 to 4 days every couple of weeks, and I trusted her completely. One of my closest friends, let's call him Ryan, 36M, has been in my life for over 15 years. We played on the same college soccer team, were best men at each other's weddings, and he was basically family. Sophie and Ryan always got along great, but I assumed it was the normal friend of my husband relationship. Sometimes they joked around, sent memes, and tagged each other on social media. I never found it weird. In hindsight, I feel so fucking stupid. The first weird sign, a subtle one. I got home from a business trip about 3 months ago, and Sophie was acting off. Cold, distant, overly snappy. When I asked what was wrong, she blamed work. She said she had a migraine. Then she tried to turn it around and say, I was the one being cold because I hadn't texted her enough while I was away. Classic deflection. But at the time, I bought it. Over the next couple of weeks, things just started to feel off. Her phone was suddenly always face down. She started sleeping in late on weekends, something she never used to do. Her scent changed, literally. Different perfume, more makeup. When I commented on it, she brushed it off and said, Oh, I just felt like switching things up. Sure, still, nothing concrete, just gut feelings. And I didn't want to be that guy who's paranoid or controlling. I never once thought she was cheating. Not Sophie, not with Ryan, of all people. God, if only I'd trusted my gut back then. So, like I said in part one, things were feeling off. Sophie was cold, defensive, and distant. Her phone was glued to her. She started working late more often, sometimes not getting home until after 10 p.m. When I asked her what she was working on, the answer was always vague, just meetings or you wouldn't understand the tech stuff. I wasn't about to accuse her of anything. I trusted her. I wanted to trust her, but my gut kept screaming at me, so I started paying more attention. One night, she left her phone in the bathroom while she was in the shower. It buzzed twice, both messages from R. I knew it had to be Ryan. He was the only person she referred to like that in her contacts. I know it's a violation of privacy, but I looked. I had to. What I saw felt like being stabbed in the chest. Last night was insane. I can still smell you on my shirt. Can't stop thinking about the way you looked when I walked in. You moaning my name. Unreal. I scrolled up. The entire chat thread was full of them sexting, setting up meetings, reminiscing about hookups, photos, dirty jokes, him calling her baby. I wish he didn't have to come home so soon. My hands were literally shaking. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't believe it. My wife and my best friend, while I was out of town working to support us, the betrayal hit me like a train. I didn't say anything that night. I didn't even confront her. I just sat there next to her in bed, pretending to sleep while she texted him good night right next to me. That moment, lying next to her while knowing she was cheating, broke something inside me. I copied the entire message thread, took screenshots. I knew I'd need them, but I wasn't done yet. I needed to see it for myself. I needed to be absolutely sure. So I came up with a plan. After reading those messages, I was numb. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I kept replaying everything in my head. Every kiss, every I love you, every dinner we had with Ryan, all of it felt poisoned. But like I said, I needed proof. I needed to see it. So a week later, I told Sophie I had to go out of town again, a fake business trip. She barely looked up from her phone when I told her. She just said, Okay, be safe. I left Thursday morning, but I didn't actually go anywhere. I parked my car a few blocks away and stayed with my brother. I knew Ryan's place, and I had a hunch she'd go there. Friday night, around 8:30 p.m., my brother and I drove by Ryan's place. Her car was parked outside. I waited. I waited until around 10:15 p.m., then walked up to the apartment and used the spare key Ryan had once given me years ago when we were roommates and never asked for back. Guess he forgot. I opened the door as quietly as I could, and there they were, on the couch, half naked, all over each other, laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. Sophie screamed when she saw me. Ryan just froze like a deer in headlights. Her. What the fuck are you doing here? Me. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I interrupting your little work meeting? She scrambled for a blanket like she was the victim. She immediately switched into defense mode. This isn't what it looks like.
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to be home. You've been so distant lately. Maybe if you were around more, I wouldn't need to find someone else. I didn't say much. I just pulled out my phone and started showing the screenshots. She started screaming, full on hysterical, crying 1 second, furious the next. You went through my phone? That's abuse. You violated my privacy. Oh, yeah. I'm the bad guy now? Ryan tried to say something, but I told him if he opened his mouth again, I'd knock out every one of his teeth. He shut up real quick. I left without another word, slammed the door, drove straight back to my brother's. I couldn't stop shaking. I was sick to my stomach. I had just walked in on my wife of 7 years and my best friend of 15, naked together on his couch. I still can't believe it happened. After catching them red handed, everything just collapsed inside me. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling in my brother's guest room, my mind racing. You think you know someone, you think you're building a life with them, and then one night destroys it all. The weird part? I wasn't even angry yet. I was numb, hollow. My body felt like it was on autopilot. I couldn't cry, I couldn't scream, I just felt erased. The next morning, Sophie blew up my phone, missed calls, texts, voicemails. Please talk to me. You don't understand. It wasn't serious. I was confused. It only happened a couple times. I love you, not him. Lie after lie after lie. By noon, she was at the it's your fault phase. You've been emotionally distant. You care more about your job than me. I felt alone. You made me do this. Made her? No. She chose to. Over and over again. She chose to lie, to sneak around, to humiliate me. And with Ryan, of all people. Ryan, by the way, sent me one text. Just one. I messed up, man. I'm sorry. I didn't even reply. What the hell do you say to that? Sorry? For betraying your best friend for months, for having sex with his wife in his own home? I shut off my phone for the weekend. Spent 2 days binge watching garbage TV, barely eating, while just trying to survive hour by hour. My brother was a rock. Never pried. Just sat with me, handed me food, kept the fridge full of beer. But on Sunday morning, something snapped. I looked in the mirror. I looked broken, pathetic, weak. And I said, no, I'm not going to let this define me. I'm not going to let her destroy me. That was the moment I decided I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to talk it out. I wasn't going to listen to no more lies. I was going to end it. That Sunday morning, I woke up with clarity. Cold, sharp clarity. Sophie had burned everything to the ground. Our marriage, our trust, my friendship with Ryan, gone. And the truth was, there was no coming back from this. No therapy session, no apology, no desperate promise could undo what I saw on that couch. So I made a list. I'm serious. Pen and paper. At the top, I wrote, what do I want? And the answer was simple. Freedom, peace, dignity, closure. I called my lawyer Monday morning, told her everything. She didn't even flinch. Apparently, this kind of story is depressingly common. She walked me through the process. Since we didn't have kids and most of our assets were already separate, we never fully merged finances. Her decision, ironically, the divorce could be pretty clean if Sophie didn't make it messy. Spoiler alert, she did, but more on that later. By Wednesday, I served her the divorce papers at her office. I didn't call. I didn't warn her. I wanted her to feel a fraction of the shock and humiliation I felt when I walked in on her and Ryan. I guess she didn't expect I'd actually go through with it because about an hour after she was served, she showed up at my brother's place, banging on the door like a lunatic, red-eyed, mascara running, yelling loud enough for the whole neighborhood to hear. You're just going to throw away everything we built? Don't I get a say in this? You're being immature. I opened the door just enough to look her in the eye and said, you had plenty of chances to say something. You used them to lie. Now I'm saying something. Goodbye. and I closed the door in her face. She screamed, literally screamed, threw her purse at the door and stormed off. That was the first real power I felt in weeks. And yeah, I know how it sounds, but after being lied to, cheated on, gaslit, and humiliated, taking back even 1 ounce of control felt incredible. I wasn't done with her yet, though. There was still a storm coming. If you thought Sophie would take the divorce like a grown adult, think again. The day after I served her, she started a smear campaign. She called my parents, telling them I had become emotionally abusive, that I pushed her away, that I was cold, distant, and made her feel unloved. She even claimed I was controlling. My mom called me in tears asking what was going on. Luckily, I had already told them everything. I even sent them the screenshots. My dad, a quiet guy who usually stays out of my business, just said, "She's dead to me." Sophie didn't stop there. She messaged some of our mutual friends telling them I cheated first with some girl I worked with. Total fiction, by the way. She painted herself as the broken, abandoned wife, desperate for affection, and Ryan just happened to be there. She left out the months of sneaking around, the lies, the fact that I walked in on them mid-act. To my surprise, a couple people actually bought her story, said I should reconsider, that people make mistakes. One even said I was being too prideful and should forgive. Yeah, no. Then she tried a new tactic, begging. She started showing up at my job, left handwritten letters on my windshield, sent me voice notes late at night crying about how much she missed me, how I was her home, how this wasn't supposed to happen. She swore it was just once. I reminded her I had dozens of messages that proved otherwise. Fine. It was more than once, but it didn't mean anything. Ryan was just a mistake. You're my husband, I told her. If Ryan was just a mistake, you sure made it a lot, and you hit it damn well. That's when the rage returned. She flipped again, hysterical, shouting over the phone that I ruined our marriage, that I gave up, that I was throwing away years over a fling. She refused to sign the divorce papers at first, delayed it for weeks. Her lawyer reached out to mine with outrageous demands. She wanted half of the house, spousal support, and even my dog, the dog I had before I even met her. That was war, and I was ready for it. I'll admit, I wasn't prepared for just how ugly divorce could get. I thought it would be straightforward. She cheated, we're done. But no, Sophie decided to dig in her heels and bleed me dry on the way out. Her lawyer came in hot. They sent a counterproposal demanding half the house, even though I bought it before we married with my own money. Spousal support for emotional distress and lifestyle disruption. My car, the one she never even drove, and I'm not joint custody of my dog, Max. That last one made my blood boil. Max had been mine since college. He hated Sophie, honestly, would growl if she raised her voice. Maybe he sensed what I didn't. Thankfully, my lawyer was sharp. She tore their arguments apart. The house was premarital property. Sophie had no legal claim. Spousal support was a joke. We'd only been married 4 years and she made her own money. The car was in my name, bought with my funds. And the dog, not even up for debate, 100%. But Sophie wasn't backing down. Every week, a new email, a new demand, a new accusation. She was stalling, trying to wear me down, maybe even hoping I'd cave just to make it stop. She miscalculated, because every time she lied, twisted facts, or tried to drag me through the mud, I documented it. Every voicemail, every insane text, every meltdown she had outside my office or at 2 a.m. on my voicemail. My lawyer built a mountain of evidence, and then came the nuclear option. I told her to subpoena Ryan. Yep. If she wanted to fight, we were bringing her affair into court. We'd put it all on record. Once she got wind of that, suddenly she wanted to settle peacefully. Amazing how fast her tone changed when her shame became a legal risk. Once Sophie found out Ryan was going to be subpoenaed, everything changed. She went from, I'll take everything, to, can we just keep this between us, in a single phone call. Suddenly she was all about privacy and closure. I told her flatly, there's no us anymore. Just you, me, and the paperwork. She must have realized her little fantasy of walking away looking like the victim was about to go up in flames. The court wouldn't look kindly on someone caught mid-affair, especially with her husband's best friend, then trying to shake him down for support and property. So within a week, her lawyer sent over a new proposal. It was like night and day. She gave up any claim to the house. No spousal support. No car. No max. She just wanted the divorce finalized fast. That told me she was afraid of what Ryan might say under oath. But just when I thought it was wrapping up smoothly, the twist hit. I got a call from Ryan's fiance. Yeah, apparently Ryan was engaged this whole time. Her name was Elise. Sweet voice. Calm. Too calm. She told me she had found some emails between Sophie and Ryan and hired a PI. That PI? The same one I ended up hiring. Small world. She said she wanted to meet in person, so we did. We sat across from each other in a coffee shop like two survivors of a house fire, holding the blueprints to the wreckage. She'd been planning a wedding while Ryan was sneaking around with my wife. She was shattered. But then she said something that made my blood run cold. I think Sophie's pregnant. Ryan told me last week she might be. I nearly dropped my cup. That wasn't in any of her voicemails, not in her letters, not in any message. If true, that changed everything. But was she lying or just waiting for the right time to use it? The moment Elise told me Sophie might be pregnant, my mind went numb. Pregnant? With Ryan's kid? Or worse, was she going to try to claim it was mine? The next day, I got my answer. Right on cue, Sophie texted me, "We need to talk. It's important, please." I didn't respond. 5 minutes later, "I'm pregnant." I just stared at the screen, waiting for the punchline. None came. Then she added, "We can still make this work. We're still married. We have a chance to fix this." I nearly laughed. Fix what? The years of lying, the public humiliation, the affair with my best friend? I replied, "Is it mine?" That set off a firestorm. She called me immediately, screaming, crying, accusing me of being heartless, paranoid, a monster. I hung up. Later, I got a long message about how it was early and she wasn't 100% sure, but that it could be mine and that we owe it to the baby to try again. Classic Sophie. Play every angle, push every emotional button. So I laid it out clearly. If it's mine, I'll support the child, but we are never getting back together. Ever. She didn't like that. Started sending me photos of old vacations, love notes from the past, even a video of us dancing in the kitchen like that was going to magically erase what she did. Then she went quiet for 2 weeks. No updates, no drama, no contact, until I got a call from Elise again. She sounded furious. She lied. She's not pregnant. I saw the text she sent Ryan. She made it up to try to win you back. My stomach dropped. Sophie faked a pregnancy to manipulate me. That was the moment the last bit of sympathy I had for her died. After Elise told me Sophie had faked the pregnancy, I didn't feel anger anymore, just a cold, hollow disgust. This wasn't just cheating anymore. It wasn't just betrayal. This was psychological warfare. She tried to manipulate me into staying by creating a child that didn't exist. And I was supposed to forgive her? No. That was it. I sent Sophie one final message. "I know you're not pregnant. Elise showed me the proof. This was your last lie. You won't get another chance. From now on, all communication goes through my lawyer." She didn't even deny it. She doubled down. "You don't know what I've been through. You're just throwing away everything. You're heartless. You always have been." That was her go to move. Weaponize emotions, deflect blame, rewrite history. Not this time. I blocked her on everything, changed my number, told my job not to let her through reception, even warned my neighbors to call the cops if she showed up at the house. And then silence. No messages, no voicemails, no sudden visits. It was eerie, like the storm had passed. But I knew Sophie too well. She wasn't done. She was just waiting. In the meantime, Elise and I stayed in touch. Not romantically, just two people who understood the same kind of pain. We shared stories, compared timelines. She told me she'd left Ryan, kicked him out, trashed the wedding dress, blocked him everywhere. One night, Elise texted, "You know they're still seeing each other, right?" I replied, "Seriously?" "Yeah, I saw them at a bar last night. She was all over him. They didn't even try to hide it. So much for remorse. So much for I want to fix this. Sophie didn't want me. She just didn't lose." By the time the court date arrived, I felt numb. No more rage, no more heartbreak, just resolve. I'd spent months dealing with Sophie's lies, manipulations, emotional blackmail, and outright betrayal. I was done playing defense. Now it was her turn to squirm under the spotlight. She showed up to court dressed like she was going to brunch, heels too high, makeup too loud, fake sadness dripping off her face. Ryan, nowhere in sight. Interesting. Her lawyer tried to push one last emotional plea. Something about how Sophie gave up everything for this marriage, how she acted out of pain, how she just wanted a chance to heal. But my lawyer shut it down. Hard. She laid out the timeline, the cheating, the lies, the faked pregnancy, the evidence Elise had found, the messages Sophie sent me begging to try again, even while she was still sleeping with Ryan. I watched Sophie squirm in her seat, fake tears, trembling hands, looking at the judge like she was a victim. She wasn't. She was cornered. When it was over, the judge didn't waste time. Divorce granted. House? Mine. Car? Max? With me, of course. No alimony, no shared assets, no second chances. Sophie didn't even look at me when we left the courtroom. But outside in the hallway, she stopped me. Her voice was shaky, but her eyes were cold. You think you won, don't you? I didn't even answer. I just looked at her, really looked at her, and realized how far she'd fallen. This wasn't the woman I married. Maybe she never was. You're going to regret this, she hissed. I almost laughed, because for the first time in a long time, I didn't regret anything. After the court date, it was like a fog lifted. I walked out of that building feeling 10 pounds lighter. The weight of betrayal, confusion, humiliation, gone. Or at least finally loosening its grip. The first few days were weird, quiet, lonely in a way I hadn't expected. I missed Max when I wasn't home. I missed the idea of a partner, a routine, someone next to me in bed. But I didn't miss her. Not once. Instead, I focused on rebuilding. I cleaned the house top to bottom, cleared out every trace of Sophie, burned some old letters, donated her clothes, bought new sheets, rearranged furniture, gave my home a reset. Max adjusted better than I thought. He stopped hiding under the table, stopped waiting at the door. It was like he could breathe again, too. I started working out more, sleeping better, eating like an adult again. Even went on a couple casual dates, nothing serious, just normal conversations with people who weren't emotional tornadoes. And through it all, Elise and I kept in touch. She was healing too. Said she'd picked up painting again, something Ryan always made fun of. One night we ended up talking for hours, not about Sophie or Ryan, but life, goals, random stuff. It was the healthiest conversation I'd had in years. Funny how pain can bond people in unexpected ways. Then, out of nowhere, guess who popped back up? Sophie. Blocked number, new email, somehow got around everything. The message? I miss you. I made a mistake. Ryan used me. He's gone. I want to come home. I didn't even reply. I forwarded it to my lawyer, and then I did something that surprised even me. I laughed, because in that moment I knew I was finally free. Free. Just when I thought the drama was over, life threw one last curveball, and this time it came from Ryan. About a month after the divorce was finalized, I got a message from an unknown number. We need to talk. It's about Sophie. At first, I ignored it, but something about the tone made me curious. A few minutes later, another message came through. She's been lying to both of us. I replied, congratulations on figuring that out a year too late. But he insisted on meeting, just once, so against my better judgment, I agreed. We met at a coffee shop on the edge of town, and when I saw him, he looked like hell. Unshaven, bloodshot eyes, nervous energy. He sat down and started talking, fast. Apparently, Sophie had told him she was pregnant again, that this time it was his. She had even shown him fake test results, the same ones she probably planned to show me the first time. Then she started asking for money, said she needed help with prenatal care, rent, baby stuff, and like a fool, he gave it to her. Thousands. Turns out she wasn't pregnant. Again, she was scamming him while sleeping with a third guy, someone he had introduced her to during one of their breakups. Yeah, let that sink in. He found out when he walked in on them in his apartment. Apparently, Sophie screamed at him for violating her privacy. Unreal. I just thought you should know, Ryan said. You were right about everything. I didn't say much, just nodded and left him sitting there, sipping his cold coffee and looking like someone who'd finally realized the house was on fire after the roof had caved in. The closure was strange, not satisfying, not vengeful, just final. These two deserved each other, or better yet, deserved to drown separately in their own disasters. I walked out of that cafe and never looked back. 3 months after the final run-in with Ryan, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. No texts, no drama, No random messages from Sophie pretending she just wanted to talk. She disappeared from my life like a bad dream I'd finally woken up from. And with that silence, I started living again. I picked up old hobbies I had abandoned in the chaos of that toxic marriage: photography, hiking, even cooking. Turns out I was a halfway decent cook when I wasn't walking on eggshells every evening. Max, my dog, my silent therapist, was thriving, happier, more playful, like he sensed the poison had been drained from the house. I traveled a little, visited my brother out of state, went to the beach alone one weekend just to remind myself what solitude felt like when it wasn't laced with loneliness. Then something unexpected happened. Elise and I started seeing each other more, not in a rushed rebound kind of way, but slowly, genuinely. Coffee turned to dinners, texts turned to calls. It wasn't about revenge or shared pain anymore. It was about healing, separately, then side by side. We both had scars, but we also had something else: clarity. She knew what betrayal felt like. She knew how lies could wear a person down. She knew how hard it was to rebuild from the rubble. And because of that, our conversations were honest from the start. No games, no manipulation. Just two people who'd been burned learning how to build a fire together and not get scorched. We're not rushing anything. No labels, just possibility. It's strange how something beautiful can grow from something so broken. And it made me realize the worst thing that ever happened to me was also the best thing that ever happened to me. Because without Sophie's betrayal, I might have stayed in that miserable fog of a marriage for years, decades. I might have missed the chance to meet me again and to meet someone who actually sees me. It's been nearly a year since I walked in on my wife and my best friend, a year since my world cracked open. Sometimes late at night, I think about who I used to be: the man who believed in Sophie, trusted Ryan without question, and thought love alone could hold a relationship together. That man was loyal, hopeful, naive. I don't hate him, but I'm not him anymore. I've learned more about people in this past year than in the entire decade before it. And more importantly, I've learned about myself. I've learned that silence can be a scream. When someone you love stops talking, stops connecting, it's often because they're speaking to someone else behind your back. Gut instincts matter. I silenced mine for too long, let manipulation convince me I was paranoid. Never again. Closure doesn't come from the cheater's apology. It comes from looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, I survived. Sophie never got better. As far as I know, she's still cycling through new victims, still playing the part of the misunderstood wounded woman while destroying anything good that touches her. Ryan moved away. I don't know where. I don't care. And me? I'm good. I won't say everything's perfect. Healing isn't linear. But now when I laugh, it's real. When I sleep, I don't wake up with anxiety in my chest. When I trust, it's measured, but not cynical. And Elise, she's still around. We're building something slow and real. Whether it ends in love or friendship, I'm just grateful for someone who knows what honesty actually looks like. To anyone reading this going through a betrayal, you'll feel like you're drowning. You'll feel like your heart is too loud and your head too foggy. You'll think you'll never smile again. You will. And when you do, it won't be because they came back or apologized or finally admitted what they did. It'll be because you rose up, alone, and decided to rebuild. You'll come out of this stronger, smarter, and a hell of a lot wiser, just like I did.